You have been asking why the door hasn't opened yet, why the answer hasn't come, why the breakthrough seems to be just beyond reach, and why the things you prayed for seem suspended in a holding pattern that makes no sense. But the Lord your God, am telling you now, the delay is not denial, the pause is not punishment, and the silence is not abandonment. It is divine protection in disguise. You see the surface of your circumstances, but I see beneath it. You see time as passing without progress, but I see time as my shield, placed carefully between you and something that was designed to look beautiful but carries destruction at its core. What you thought was a lost opportunity was me removing a spiritual trap you could not recognize. That promotion you didn't get, that invitation you missed, that person who disappeared, that plan that collapsed right before it took off. Those were not failures, they were exits designed by heaven. Because if I had allowed you to walk through those doors too soon, you would have entered spaces built on lies, surrounded by souls wearing masks, with spirits that desired your downfall dressed in smiles and congratulations. There's a reason your name was left out of certain circles, why you were overlooked, why they didn't choose you. It's not because you were forgotten, it's because you were being hidden. Hidden under my wings, away from a war you didn't know was raging behind the scenes. The timing of your rise is not just strategic, it's sacred. I am orchestrating an unveiling that aligns not only with your readiness, but with the destruction of traps set against you. I delayed the meeting because the heart of the person you wanted to impress was not clean. I withheld the answer because the path that looked straight was lined with spiritual poison. I stopped the move because the environment was contaminated with jealousy and pride. I know what words were spoken about you when you weren't in the room. I know what motives were masked behind generosity. I know who was waiting to see you fall just so they could say they predicted it. And I know what battles were being fought in the spiritual realm while you were on your knees asking me, why not yet? I heard your cry, but I answered with a shield, not a spotlight. And that delay saved you. That no saved your calling. That closed door preserved the future I designed for you before you were even formed in your mother's womb. Child, I'm not bound by your calendar. I'm not concerned with appearances. I do not measure progress by visibility. I am the author of your life, and I write in divine timing. The chapters you skipped were the ones I tore out to keep you alive. The people who left weren't taken, they were removed. The silence is not empty. It is full of things I am doing that your human eyes cannot yet perceive. You think you've been forgotten, but in truth, you've been surrounded by angels. You think you've been overlooked, but you've actually been spared. You think this stillness is evidence of failure, but it is the sacred breath before resurrection. I delayed your next step because your enemies had prepared net, and if you had moved one moment earlier, you would have stepped into it. But instead, I made you wait, I made you doubt, I made you sit, and in that sitting I strengthened you. I sharpened your discernment. I refined your trust. I taught you to pray in the absence of clarity and to worship in the absence of evidence. And now, what you thought was wasted time will soon reveal itself as the very season that saved your life. Do not resent the delay. It is the reason you're still standing. I slowed the pace so the poison would expire before it touched you. I adjusted the path so the betrayal would reveal itself before you committed too deeply. I rerouted your journey not to confuse you, but to clear the battlefield before you arrived. You think this was about missed blessings, but I tell you, it was about missed destruction. What they planned for your harm has been turned into fuel for your purpose. And when I finally say go, it will not be timid. It will be explosive, immediate, undeniable. You won't have to fight for space in rooms I designed for you. You won't have to beg for what is already yours. You will walk into your next season not limping with pain, but marching with power. And when people ask why now, you will say, because God delayed me to deliver me. And that delay child, was the greatest act of love I could ever give. I know there were nights when you questioned everything, when you sat in a quiet room and wondered if I had gone silent, if your prayers were just echoes in the dark, if your faith had been misplaced. But, beloved, I was closer in those moments than you could ever imagine. Every unanswered call, every unopened door, every person who didn't text back, every plan that dissolved without warning was me redirecting you in a way that would preserve your destiny and protect your spirit. Because I saw what you couldn't see. The hidden motives behind their compliments, the unseen spiritual toxins wrapped inside appealing opportunities, the way the enemy disguised danger as destiny. I allowed you to taste frustration not because I enjoy your pain, but because it purified your trust in me. You've been trying to understand why that job interview didn't work out, why that relationship crumbled just when it felt steady, why the dream you carried for so long seemed to slip through your fingers like dust. And I'm telling you now, child, it was all a holy interruption. It was me lovingly removing illusions so you could finally walk in truth. This delay wasn't to punish you, it was to detox you. I had to pull you out of rooms where your name was being praised in public, but torn apart in private. I had to keep you away from people who didn't have the capacity to carry your calling, who would have misused your vulnerability, who would have handed your secrets to the enemy for validation. I know you're tired of waiting, of wondering, of waking up with hope only to end the day in confusion. But trust me, what feels like waiting is actually war. A war I've been fighting for you. A war to dismantle demonic alliances, to untangle you from invisible chains, to cleanse the spiritual residue of what looked good but would have destroyed your soul. You don't see the battle, but you're benefiting from the victory. That's why some mornings you wake up lighter, even when life hasn't changed, because something was defeated in the spirit while you slept. That's why you feel waves of peace out of nowhere, because angels have been ministering to your mind, surrounding you while you feel alone. And I'm not just delaying the wrong thing. I'm preparing the right thing. I'm raising people in secret who are being molded to support you, speak life into you, walk with you, not compete with you. I'm crafting opportunities that won't require you to compromise who you are to be accepted. I'm opening doors that no man will be able to shut, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. The delay is building your capacity to carry the blessing. I'm teaching you how to steward peace before I pour out abundance. I'm making sure your identity is rooted in me and not in performance or approval. Because if I gave it to you too soon, it would have overwhelmed you or slipped through cracks of insecurity that I'm still healing. Let me finish the work. Let me finish what I started in your soul before I release what I've stored for your hands. What I'm preparing for you is not temporary. It's not surface. It's not a moment. It's a movement. I am not just restoring what you lost. I'm preparing you to carry what your ancestors prayed for. I'm aligning timelines, healing generational wounds, breaking ancestral cycles, and even using your delay to deliver others. Because what you're going through is not just for you. Your waiting is producing a testimony that will set others free. Your surrender is making room for someone else's salvation. Your healing is echoing through bloodlines. I know this isn't what you asked for, but it's what your destiny required. I know this isn't the route you envisioned, but it's the only one that leads to the promise I spoke over your life before time began. So don't rush it. Don't resent it. Don't run from it. Sit in it. Grow in it. Trust me in it. Because very soon, this delay will make sense. Not just emotionally, but spiritually, historically, generationally. And when it happens, when you step into the season I've been building for you in secret, you'll realize that I didn't forget you, I fortified you. I didn't deny you, I designed something better. And the moment you walk through the door I'm opening, you'll know that the delay was not a detour. It was destiny being defended by the hand of God. You keep wondering why things have been taking so long, why every path you try to walk down seems to lead to a closed gate, why the progress you thought you made suddenly dissolves into stillness, why every time you feel ready, life makes you sit down again. And the truth I need you to embrace is this. I'm not just delaying your timeline, I'm dismantling spiritual landmines set up to destroy you the moment you stepped into what looked like success. Some of the offers that flattered you were actually traps, bait coated in false blessings, sent to test whether you'd choose approval over alignment. I watched the way your heart leaned toward the applause, how you almost settled for comfort disguised as calling, how close you came to making covenant with counterfeit voices simply because they showed up while you felt unseen. And in my mercy, I stepped in. I pulled you back, not because you weren't ready, but because what was waiting there wasn't for me. You don't see the spirits assigned to derail your purpose. Those invisible forces whispering validation while hiding venom. Those familiar faces hiding jealous prayers behind their praise. But I do. I've seen the meetings where your name was mentioned with malice. I've heard the conversations behind closed doors where your trust was betrayed. I've watched people plot around your kindness, using your own openness as a weapon to weaken you. And because you didn't see it, you thought my pause was punishment. But beloved, it was protection of the highest form. You begged me to open the door. I had to break the building down first. You cried out for progress. I had to collapse the path you were about to take because it would have led to bondage with a blessing's face. I had to reroute everything. That delay was not a rejection of your dream. It was a spiritual quarantine. I had to separate you not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally from people and patterns that felt like home, but were really holding you hostage. I heard every tear you cried when they left. I saw every late night wrestle between your spirit and your doubt. But what if I told you they had to go so your purpose could grow? What if I told you the very person who made you question your worth was the one who would have cursed your destiny if I allowed them to stay? The delay taught you discernment. It taught you how to hear me in the silence. It gave you spiritual sight sharper than your surroundings. You've learned to distinguish my whisper from the noise, to choose peace over validation, to rest in my promises even when the proof hasn't shown up yet. And because of that, you are no longer fragile. You're fortified. This delay was your spiritual training ground. Every day you stayed faithful while feeling forgotten. I was strengthening muscles in you that will carry the next season without collapse. This delay was your armor being forged in the fire of discipline. This delay was me detoxing your expectations, purifying your desires, helping you want not just my hand, but my heart. Now you don't just want the promise. You want the promiser. That shift in posture has triggered a shift in heaven. You've graduated in the spirit without even realizing it. And what's coming next isn't a reward, it's a result. A result of spiritual maturity. A result of emotional growth. A result of your obedience when it was most painful. So don't let impatience tempt you back into patterns I've already delivered you from. Don't let loneliness reopen doors I've shut with intention. Don't let the illusion of falling behind cause you to settle for what's beneath you. Because the truth is, while you thought you were being delayed, I was actually accelerating something deeper in you. And now, while others are chasing stages and shortcuts, you are about to be trusted with substance, real, raw, heaven-backed influence that cannot be duplicated or denied. And the blessing that's coming? It won't require you to perform. It won't require you to beg. It won't come attached to compromise. It will recognize your soul and align with the frequency of your healing. And when it arrives, you'll understand this delay was never a pause. It was my perfect precision at work. You didn't miss your moment. You were being molded for it. And now it's almost here. And now that the final stretch is near, I need you to walk differently, not with fear, not with doubt, but with a quiet boldness that comes from knowing I've already gone ahead of you. This delay has not been a denial, and it certainly hasn't been a punishment. It has been your protection, your preparation, and your promotion, all disguised as stillness. You thought the waiting was passive, but in heaven, the waiting room is the shaping room. Every time you sat in silence, thinking I was distant, I was working beneath the surface, clearing away hidden snares, canceling attacks that never even reached you, and removing people who only smiled at your light but secretly cursed your name when no one was looking. Yes, you felt the sting of rejection, the ache of unanswered prayers, and the exhaustion of doors that would not open. But those weren't setbacks. They were shields. I shielded your name, your path, your mind, your future. I interrupted timelines that were laced with spiritual sabotage, and I whispered not yet over situations you begged me to say yes to. Because what you didn't know is that the yes you wanted would have come wrapped in spiritual death. You saw opportunity, I saw a spiritual ambush. You saw affection, I saw manipulation. You saw open doors, I saw traps behind them. And that's why I closed them. That's why I let them ghost you, reject you, overlook you, forget you. That silence wasn't abandonment. It was sanctification. I needed you to be alone with me, so I could teach you how to hear me without the noise. I needed you to stop leaning on people for confirmation and start leaning on my presence for revelation. And now, after all this time, do you not feel the shift in your spirit? The clarity in your dreams? The strength you didn't have before? That's not coincidence. It's evidence. Evidence that the delay did its work. You're not who you were when this season began. You're no longer willing to sacrifice your peace for temporary validation. You're no longer fooled by shallow promises dressed in urgency. You've grown the discernment to pause, pray, and perceive, and that, my child, is power. The kind of power the enemy cannot manipulate. The kind of power that can't be bought, faked, or rushed. And because you've carried your cross quietly, I will now crown you publicly. You cried in secret, so I will bless you in sight of those who thought you were finished. I will lift you in places where your name was once mocked. I will release a wave of favor that rewrites every chapter of lack, loss, and limitation. And the beauty of it all? You won't have to strive for it. You'll simply walk into it. You'll feel peace where there used to be panic. You'll hear my voice where there used to be confusion. And those delays that made you question my love will become the very proof of how deeply I care. I loved you too much to let you walk into what looked good but was meant to destroy you. I loved you enough to let you wait. And now that the waiting is over, you will rise, not as a victim of delay, but as a victor of divine design. Every second you thought was wasted was actually investment. Every detour was divine. Every tear was noticed. And every breath you took in that waiting season has brought you to this moment. Right here, where heaven is aligning circumstances, conversations, and confirmations to push you into the breakthrough that is already signed, sealed, and on its way. So take a deep breath. The delay is lifting, and what's about to arrive will not only make sense of your waiting, it will make you grateful for it. This is your confirmation. This is your clarity. And this is your comeback, written in my timing, sealed by my mercy, and carried by my hand. Get ready. You are about to step into the life that couldn't begin until the delay finished its purpose. And now it has.